My project is on art and ritual in ancient Mesopotamia. Sometimes referred to as the cradle of civilization, ancient Mesopotamia is rich in cultural and artistic expressions that are usually tied to religious practices and deities. Mesopotamians worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each associated with different aspects of life. For example, Anu, the sky god, and Inanna, the goddess of love and war. Temples served as both religious and cultural centers, where rituals were performed, transactions occurred, and offerings were made to their deities. Pictured is the ziggurat of a stepped pyramid. They built it with mud bricks, and it was dedicated to the moon god with a desire to reach closer to the heavens. The art that is inside of the temples often depict gods receiving offerings or sacrifices as a reminder of how important it is to give to them. Common offerings include food, fruits, and wine. They also offered these statuettes or plaques. These were often placed on altars in the temples. Animals like goats were sacrificed to the gods, and their sacred blood was poured out as part of the ritual. These offerings were obviously given to appease their deities, but they were also given ritualistically to express gratitude or mark significant events in their lives. An example of this would be their funerary offerings, which we will get into later. Ceremonial objects and artifacts related to the sacrificial practices include altars and utensils, and they underscore the connection between art and religious devotion. They also used incense burners. They used amulets as reminders, ceremonial cups and bowls for the food offerings, and of course, the votive statuettes. There were also often tablets and styluses used to record prayers, transactions, or significant experiences. Their ceremonies were also accompanied by musical instruments such as flutes. Ancient Mesopotamian reliefs and carvings were stone sculptures carved in a relief style, depicting detailed scenes from religious and political life, often illustrating the power and achievements of the king, with themes like conquests, hunting, and ceremonial rituals, usually found on palace walls and temple structures. Some features include the use of multiple horizontal registers to depict a story sequence, and the use of these winged, human-headed figures as protective guardians. Their art primarily focused on glorifying the king and depicting their religious themes, including their gods and goddesses, mythological creatures, and scenes of worship. Artifacts found in royal tombs, such as the treasures of reflect beliefs about the afterlife and the importance of art in ensuring a safe passage to the next world. There was also a difference of burial sites based on class, with commoners having the most simple grave sites and noblemen's graves holding the more lavish goods. They believed that the afterlife occurred in the underworld. Funerary rites often included mourning practices, music, and offerings to ensure a safe passage for the deceased. Family and community members would gather to honor the dead. There were specific rituals conducted by the priests to appease the gods and ensure the deceased's well-being in the afterlife. One of the more interesting practices that was suggested in their text was that some people were buried in a process known as sky burial. Their bodies were left exposed to return to nature. In summary, the burial practices and artifacts that have been discovered in Mesopotamia were deeply reflective of the civilization's beliefs, social hierarchy, and community values. The artifacts, texts, statuettes, and temples that have been left behind have offered us an informative window into the ways of life for these civilians. Thank you.